What's going on, guys? Welcome back to No Reserves Radio. I am your host, Rehn. With me, as always, Angelo. Again, no Austin this week. It's kind of just a normal
As
statement at this
always.
point. Hopefully he'll be back regularly soon. I got nothing. A few interesting things happened this week in the NBA. So we're just gonna kind of talk through some things. One potentially earth-shattering. The other's not. I mean, I really think there's three big stories that happened within the last 24 hours. One is, I mean, it's kind of a big deal because it was a trade. Then we've got an injury, which is a huge deal. And then there's trade rumors that are potentially the most earth-shattering trade that has ever happened in the history of the NBA. But is it really? Like, just because of who it is, it's a big deal, but yeah, I don't know. We'll get into it. So I think we'll start with, unless you want to start with the big one.
Yeah, I'd rather save that for last.
Okay, so we'll start with the trade. We'll talk through it. Memphis Grizzlies and Houston Rockets made a trade last night. Grizzlies send Steven Adams to Houston for Victor Oladipo, and I think it was 3 second-round picks. Yeah, 3 second-round picks. So Adams is out for the remainder of the year, if I'm not mistaken. So this doesn't necessarily benefit him now, but it is nice that the Grizzlies are acknowledging that they're probably not going to be competing and that that man deserves a chance to go to a team who potentially could be. Not really, but then they get back they need guard play. Oladipo, I'm biased against him due to the "Can I come play with y'all" series against the Miami Heat, but most of my fond Pacer memories over the last decade were Victor Oladipo. He just bet on
Can
himself,
I
and
come play with you?
one season after what was arguably like up there with Reggie choking or the like holding the jersey out for Spike Lee, was Oladipo's "This Is My City" celebration. I think that was everywhere here in Indianapolis for about 2 weeks, and then everyone kind of forgot about it. And then the playoffs that he did that in, just kind of a low blow, but I'm thankful for it because from a certain point of view, he was part of the reason we now have Tyrese Halliburton. Because if we didn't trade for Oladipo, we wouldn't have got Sabonis as the throw-in. We would not have traded Sabonis for Tyrese Halliburton, and now we have the franchise player in Tyrese Halliburton. So, always thankful for Oladipo for many things. But how do you feel about this trade from... Let's start with the Rockets' perspective. It doesn't, like I said, he's injured for the remaining season, I believe. So it doesn't necessarily help them now. But do you think getting someone with his locker room personality, because everything you ever hear about Steven Adams is how great of a person he is and just how good of a leader he is. Do you think this helps the young players in Houston? And more importantly, do you think this kind of offsets the Dylan Brooks shenanigans that I imagine probably happen?
So, oddly enough, I think it might make the problem worse
How so?
because okay, so the Houston Rockets are as a team performing well. Their younger players are not performing to the standard you would hope for them to perform. Is that an accurate assessment?
That's mostly fair. I think there are still flashes from um, Jabari Smith and Jalen Green that are very thrilling to watch. But I do think that there was a lot of buzz around them last season about how young and talented they were, and it just doesn't feel like they took that next step because they're still good. It's just
I don't know.
it,
Maybe I'm misreading this, but I kind of feel like the Houston Rockets just got a bunch of older players on it and kind of stripped the reins away from the younger players, and I think that's just gonna make that feel worse to add another veteran on top of that.
but I mean, right now this is still probably, I would say, Alperen Sengun is the
The
face of
best
the
player
team
for
right
sure.
now. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I'm talking more about Smith and Green.
Smith and Green, but there was so much drama around those two. I think they need a mature leader in there because they've got veteran players, sure, but it's Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks. I think Jeff Green's there still. It's not exactly someone that's going to come in and, knock some sense into people or help the coaching staff be that middleman from the players to the coaching staff of, hey, this is how we're going to do this. This is why we're going to do it. And yeah, you might not be taking the shot. The play is drawn up in a way that you might not get a shot, but this is the way we're going to play. And in like kind of put more of an emphasis on team play because I think that's the main problem with the young players is they went through high school and college, high school and mostly college, where they were the number one option all the time. They were the best player on the court, no matter what.
Mhm.
And now they're in the NBA, where to be a bench player on the NBA, you have to be really, really, really good at basketball. So
Absolutely.
you have these young, talented players that have an ego that haven't really learned how the NBA is different from college and high school yet. And I think having a veteran like Adams there to kind of be that voice of reason, and also he's kind of scary, um, might help them. I don't think it would hinder them much because it's not like we're adding like
Oh, no, no, no. I think it'll help the team. I'm just not sure how it's
it
gonna
helps the
help.
individuals.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's actually really fair. Um, on the flip side, the Memphis Grizzlies,
Dumpster fire, dude.
they
Dumpster fire.
do you think it is possible that the management of the Memphis Grizzlies are just buying into the reckless youth movement and they got rid of the one person in the locker room that probably was telling John to knock it off?
Yeah. Honestly, like I said, I'm
We're
not in these locker rooms. I don't know exactly what's going on, but honestly, if there was some politicking from the younger players to get him out, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if that was the case.
we need to sign like Gilbert Arenas and Steven Jackson or something.
Yeah.
Just bring in like more of that culture.
Yeah, might as well. Yeah.
Let's go all in. Um, Still, I think it's because he's injured, but I feel like this was very low value for Steven Adams.
Yeah.
His 3 second round picks is the majority of the value coming back because Victor Oladipo hasn't he relied so much on his athleticism that never really came back after the leg injuries. Still a quality NBA player, but not a player that you build a trade around. I feel like the Grizzlies sold low, which is why I think there might be some behind the scenes politicking going on. Because the market doesn't seem like it's a weak market right now. I don't know. I like the trade more for the Rockets than I do for the Grizzlies just because I think the Grizzlies needed that veteran presence and I don't think Oladipo brings that. And right now who's left really to kind of be that voice? It is Marcus Smart the oldest player on. Oh, Derrick Rose. So
Yeah, he
Derrick
sounds
Rose and Marcus Smart. Those are the old men of the group.
mm-hmm.
Personnel-wise, it's going to be
God,
interesting to see
man.
how they play. I'm guessing Jaren Jackson will slot to the 5.
I'm just looking at the NBA standings, and it feels like we transported the process 76ers and the Michael Jordan era run Chicago Charlotte Hornets, and we just decided to put them into one, and it's the Wizards and the Pistons. That's what it feels like, dude. Like the Spurs, Wizards, and Pistons are like losing at like an all-time pace.
Yeah, they're on pace to have like the worst, second worst, and fifth worst seasons of all time. It's kind of disrespectful, but with injuries to the rest of the field, there's a chance they could make up a little bit of ground because like the Grizzlies are getting worse and worse by the day. I know that teams,
18
particularly,
wins. 18 wins might be too many wins already.
I've I was reading earlier that teams were calling about Marcus Smart, but the Grizzlies have said no, which I do think is the right play, but we
They're just
still
going
have
all
a
in for
couple
next
weeks.
year at this
Yeah,
point.
but we have a couple weeks until the deadline. But if you're going all into next year, does it not make sense to move Marcus Smart now and
What's
get
Marcus
pieces
Smart's
back?
contract?
Offhand, I don't know.
I'm about to look that up. So just give me 1 second. Do Marcus Smart. He is. Oh, nope, not you.
I feel like he's under
Oh, they
contract.
still got him for a few more years. He's 18 million this year, 19 million the following year, and then 21 million in 25, 26. So
Well,
you could realistically go ahead.
I'm just saying because at this point, the plan should be tanking, like right off the season. Try again next year, at least from my perspective, because you've
So what? You just blow it all up for anything that isn't like Ja and Jaren Jackson,
and Desmond Bain. I keep those 3, and then there's
you'd basically
like
just rebuild the whole roster for free agency in the draft.
not the whole roster. Like I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm just saying like those are the people that if you call me, I'm not answering the phone. But if
Mm.
you call about Zaire Williams or Gigi Jackson, sure, absolutely, I'll listen. Will I trade them? I don't know. Maybe if it's the right trade. I'm just saying, like, holding steady here might not be the right move.
Okay.
Um, because they have. Oh, thanks, Alex. Uh, freaking, my brain started like I forgot about the soundboard, and I didn't know there was an Alex soundboard for that one.
The
But
soundboard gets
I
added to. Actually, I'm almost ready for the montage intro, and I think you might like it. We'll see. I'll send a clip to you when it's done.
okay. Um, I dead ass thought that Alex just joined while we were recording and like hadn't said anything, and he's like, you know, you're right. Yeah, I was like, thanks, Alex. There you go. Um, I do think the foundations are there for the Grizzlies. I've said all along that Ja is one of the best young players in the NBA. He's just kind of dumb. Um, anyone who knows me knows how big of a fan I am of Jaren Jackson, and Desmond Bain is a future Hall of Famer, greatest player of
uh,
all time.
we are all Desmond Bain.
We are all Desmond Bain. So I do think there is the foundations there. I just think that if you're going to write this season off, which they should because Ja is out for the remaining season, um, get pieces back that are going to help you during your window because Marcus Smart will be 30 soon. And
Yeah,
that's still young by NBA standards. That's like I'm not saying you're still
he'll
in
be
your physical
30.
prime,
He'll be 30 at the start of next season, if I'm not mistaken.
but it starts to add up. And I don't think his game is going to take that big of a hit. We saw Tony Allen as an elite defender late into his 30s.
Yeah.
I just feel like going forward, it would be a good idea to not rebuild.
Is
I'm not
Marcus
saying
Smart
rebuild.
this generation's Tony Allen?
Um,
I think he has to be.
yeah, or not OG Anunoby because Anunoby's too good everywhere else.
Roberson? Roberson isn't in the
Yeah,
league.
Roberson can't really shoot, and Matisse Thybulle can't shoot. Um, is there really? I don't think there's really a comparative because like you go back to like the Miami Heat days, you got Shane Battier. That was
Hmm.
Tony Allen light. I don't think there really is a great. I mean, right now, Klay Thompson, current
Oh
Klay
no!
Thompson,
Oh no!
he's no longer the same threat he once was, but
Oh no!
he's still solid defensively. Uh, um, Lou Dort, maybe. You know what, Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is Tony Allen. Um, Philadelphia 76ers. You mentioned the process 76ers.
Hmm.
Bad
Did
news. Bad news and
catastrophic news.
catastrophic news, actually. Well, maybe. They're like, so Joel Embiid, it was announced this morning, tore his meniscus,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
The thing is, we don't have any other news yet. So by the time this episode comes out, maybe more news will be out and we'll look like we don't know what we're talking about because we don't, because as of the time we're recording this, there's nothing but he tore his meniscus.
Right.
Sometimes torn meniscuses, meniscus,
Menisci?
meniscus,
Menisci? Ah, oh my God.
that
Jesus.
ligament, it sometimes it can be trimmed, like patched up, repaired,
Hmm.
without surgery, and sometimes that's only a couple weeks for recovery.
But if it's surgery, he's done for the
If it's
season.
surgery, he's done for the season, and that's if I were an NBA player of Joel Embiid's caliber, and I know I've got a long career ahead of me, I'm taking the surgery because we saw time and time again, like
I
Derrick
don't know.
Rose, Dwayne Wade, where they try to put a band-aid over it and it made it worse down the line. And given his size, you just Joel, just do it. Just get the surgery, come back 100%, have a great, productive, long career. Um,
Here's a hot take. I don't think Joel has much longer left.
that sounded threatening.
It was. It wasn't though. Like
Why? What?
the the lower body injuries at the start and continued like wear and tear, and the fact that he's 7'1" and I
I
don't know.
mean,
I just
it's definitely
I
not
don't
a
think the
good.
Joel Embiid we know now is long for this world as far
And
as
perhaps,
years.
but he still can shoot the ball. He still can play defense. He might not be able to be as physical offensively.
Mhm.
Like in a couple, like I still think he's going to be that guy for at least another couple of years. Um, but I don't like it. It's not. He doesn't have the kind of injury problems that make it seem like he's going to miss like seasons worth of games at this point.
Right.
Like
Right.
this is a like yes, it happened in the past and it's this time, but he should have been out. He should not have been playing. And shame on the Sixers medical staff for letting him play because it's sounding more and more like they were kind of aware something was wrong. But
They just
on the bright side, Ben Simmons will be playing on Saturday.
you just like mind fucked me. How is that good news for the 76ers?
I don't know. It's not good for anyone except for, well, it's good news for fans that are not fans of the 76ers because the rest of us get to watch Ben Simmons.
Why would you want to watch Ben Simmons?
The same reason people watch like car accident compilations on YouTube.
Ah,
Like you like to like or like why people watch burning buildings. You like watching chaos. I want to watch Ben Simmons brick an open layup and then pass out of every next attempt he makes. It's a fucking disaster.
So I think Ben Simmons, if I'm not mistaken, in a recent game, Ben Simmons was 1 point away from matching his season high, which was 11 points.
Oh boy.
And, huh?
He said, oh boy.
And someone tracked it, and I believe it was 8 points out of the 10 was like tip-ins.
I mean,
Like,
Aerial Wizard Gold. What can I say?
he doesn't, he's, he's not even, like, I don't know.
I
I
mean,
don't get,
it's weird because like going back to his early career, and I don't know, like we're going on a segue
he's
here.
honestly probably the most timid, scared, talented
Yeah.
player I've ever seen.
Well, and he wasn't. He absolutely wasn't until was it the playoffs where they pulled him for the entire fourth quarter?
No, it was probably post him not dunking on Trey Young, which is the first time I think anyone said I was afraid to dunk on Trey Young, and then getting all that backlash.
I don't know. Something happened with him because he early in his career he was fearless.
Yeah, it was the Trey Young series. The play where he
Now,
passed instead of just dunking it all over the 5'10" guard.
well, whatever it is, he's got a case of the yips now that he's had for like 3 years.
Yeah.
I still think that he can be a contributing NBA player because he still is solid defensively.
Yeah.
He can't shoot, and he also can't finish anymore.
So, I mean, you could probably replace Ben Simmons with a robot, and the robot probably do better.
I mean, a robot would be designed specifically to do a job, so I would hope so.
Yeah.
I just think that the reason we like if Ben Simmons' contract wasn't Ben Simmons' contract, we wouldn't even have a problem with Ben Simmons, I think, as NBA fans. Because like there's like when was the last time someone was shit talking Matisse Thybulle? He can't shoot,
Correct.
but he's not paid
$30
what
million
Ben Simmons
not to
is. Yeah.
speak.
So I think if Ben Simmons like once Ben Simmons' contract's up and he's offered a more fair market value for his services because
So, plus or minus league minimum.
what
Plus or minus league minimum.
you
Because
mean
here's the thing. You're gonna say Ben Simmons is worth more than league minimum, and I agree with you. His talent does dictate that he's worth more than league minimum. But at the same time, would you want to bring Ben Simmons in your building and pay him more than league minimum, knowing the backlash that could come from that?
I don't think like I think if there is backlash it would be immature because Ben Simmons is a good defender. If
He
you were
is.
paying him, huh?
He is.
Yeah, so if you're paying someone to come in and be a role-playing defender, sometimes you pay a premium for that. Would I pay him like I don't even know like what a comparable contract would be like what I was looking for. Like I'm talking
I was
like
thinking 10 million a year, honestly.
yeah, like that would be like the upper limit. And I don't even know if I do that. But I don't think backlash would be warranted if he was being paid fair market value because he is a good defender. And we know he can be a very good finisher. It's just he
But I
needs
think
to go see a few more.
depending on what the backlash is, I think it is warranted because your talent is much better than the performance you're putting on the court. So I just go back to my Shaq discussion where like yeah you're a great defender but look what you have, look what you could be.
Right.
You're not
But
getting the most out of that talent, dude.
but so like what I'm saying though
There's
is like let's say you, me, and Austin are doing a league, right?
hmm
and we get to free agency, okay? And there's 3 free agents available, okay? Say the first one is Jaylen Brown. We all go in on Jaylen Brown, right? Of course.
Of course.
Austin gets Jaylen Brown. Next one up is, I think of a player that's not like a star player, like a Bones Highland. You and I, Austin doesn't have any cap space yet. You and I go in on it. You get him. Well, now my option is Ben Simmons. I could just sit on that cap and not use it, or I could sign Ben Simmons for a fair market value. And why should I, as a team or executive, get backlash for for using my cap instead of just like, you can't take it with you, right? So that's what I'm saying. It depends on, like, if you sign him day one of free agency when there's still other targets out there, yeah, you get some backlash. But if it's like day 16 and like all the big names are gone and you're signing depth role players, if it's between like
You're gonna really struggle to find someone
Kira
who
Lewis Jr. or I don't know, I kind of like Kira Lewis Jr.
exactly. I was like,
That's kind of,
you're gonna be hard pressed to find someone you'd rather have Ben Simmons over.
I don't think it would be that
Simply,
hard for me actually.
I think it would for me simply because of all of the deficiencies. It's kind of hard to justify, like, even if I don't get the elite defender, if I got someone who can shoot and who isn't afraid to score, then
Right,
that's
right,
still something.
but what if you've got 10 guys on your roster that can shoot, score, finish, whatever, and you need a depth defender? One that can arguably guard 1 through 5. And it's the
Do
last
I
day of
have
free agency and everyone
do I,
else has already been signed.
do I have do you see the scenario you have to come up with to justify signing Ben Simmons? But,
No,
like,
I'm
here's
not.
the thing. If I have all that already, do I have the money to pay Ben Simmons fair market
But,
value?
but
Like,
I'm
that's the problem.
no, I'm giving an example to make a point. It depends on the context. If you go out and sign Ben Simmons day one of free agency, like free agency opens and your first signing announcement of the day is Ben Simmons, yes, you deserve backlash. I'm not saying it has to be that last day of free agency when everyone else is off the board. I'm saying
Right.
contextually, if you've gone through the ringer of free agency and he is the best player available, you shouldn't get backlash for it. I'm not saying like, oh, he's the only guy available, you have to sign him. I'm saying if you've made it through those first few days, all the talent's gone, and now you're building your team, right? Because you get your good players and then you build around them. If Ben Simmons is the best player for your system and you get him on a fair market value, you shouldn't get any backlash. If you're signing him over like a Jaylen Brown, yeah, I get backlash. But if you've signed Jaylen Brown and you're like, you know what, I need someone to come off the bench that I know can guard when Jaylen Brown is off the floor. Ben Simmons. So I'm saying he's not a great signing. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the team, like whoever does sign him, should not get backlash if he is the best player available. And it's without the glasses of let's dunk on Ben Simmons, right? Because
I mean, someone has to. He can't.
I mean, if he dunked on himself, that would be a little strange. That would just be a dunk. Oh, I get it. But Ben Simmons is not a terrible basketball player. He's terrible for how much money he is paid. So in the context of fair market value, no. A team should not be backlashed against because they signed the best player available or theoretical best player available. But anyway, Joel Embiid. Um, the interesting thing is Maxey has not played as well when Joel is out. Do you see the Sixers trying to hold down the fort, or do you expect a complete free fall, even if unintentional?
Free fall.
Free fall. I
Free
mean,
fall.
I agree. You're losing an MVP caliber player
Quite
for.
honestly, Ren, as a Pacers fan, and I guess me as a Cavs fan, we should be excited because that opens up another spot in seeding for the Cavs and
I
or
mean,
the
I'm.
Pacers to take. Now, granted, it's a terrible way for that to
Yeah,
happen,
that's what I was gonna say. It's hard for me
but
to say I'm excited about a severe lower body injury.
but I mean, the opening for the teams are there, and I think this will have major.
Yeah,
If
this
it's
will definitely
as
shake up
bad
the East.
as we think it is, it could have major. No, okay, it will have major playoff implications.
Yeah, for sure. It'll shake up the East. Really, they were the best team in, or the second best team in the East.
I don't know
I
about that one. They,
Celtics, and
they, Celtics and Bucks and 76ers, and so whichever.
I think I put the 76ers above the Bucks.
Interesting. I think there's an
Um,
argument.
there's definitely an argument. I think that they have a more complete roster. The Bucks have a Giannis.
Game two,
They've got the player that used to be Dame.
the player that used to be Dame.
It hasn't really been Dame time. Like, he's had a few good games, but it really hasn't been Dame time this season. Like, age has caught up a little bit, or it's just he's not used to being off ball as much as he is.
Hmm,
Um, Still a fantastic ball player. Just
crazy how that
it's
works.
not it's not the same Dame that we've been used to. Honestly,
Here's
it's
how.
weird.
Here's the biggest indictment of Dame that I can say. Dame has been so like off this year that Ren went on live air and said Jalen Brunson deserved an All-Star start over him. There you go.
I think honestly, Trey Young deserved the All Star start over him.
Oh, you should have stopped at Jalen Brunson, buddy.
So, what is the All Star game?
An exhibition.
An exhibition of what?
No defense, basically.
Right. Who embodies that better than Trey Young? Man's averaging 27 and 11,
I guess that's a fair point.
and he's not even going to be on as an injury reserve when Dame's averaging 25 and
Okay,
7.
that is kind of disrespectful. That's the kind of disrespect I would have done. So good job, NBA. Good job.
Trey
Wait,
Young is
wait,
shooting
right. Here we go. Here we
42.3%
go.
from the field.
Thank you, NBA. Thank you. Thank you.
Trey Young is shooting 42.3% from the field. Do you know what Dame Lillard's shooting?
I don't know, probably like 39.
42.2.
Oh.
Trey is shooting 36.8 from three. Guess what Dame's shooting? 34.3. Trey Young offensively, well, Dame Lillard is not a defender either. Trey Young has been the better player than Damian Lillard, and the fan voting showed that. Trey was like sixth in total player voting, or total voting from fans, and was the second highest guard after Tyrese Halliburton. And there's a legitimate chance he's not going to make the reserves even. So the coach and
Again, thank you, NBA.
the coach and player voting is going to do that. And you're saying thank you, NBA. But can you acknowledge that Trey is having a better season than Damian Lillard?
Oh yeah, 100% he is.
So he should be in.
Sure.
So why are you thinking them leaving him out?
Because it is pettiness that only I think I would
That's true. That's, you know what? Never, you don't even gotta explain it. It makes perfect sense now. That, yeah. Yeah, never mind.
Eh,
There's no point even discussing. Like that makes perfect sense. Like he could be shooting like 70%, and you would say, nah, not for me.
eh. So,
There's like I was reading earlier that NBA players don't like Trae Young because apparently he's kind of a dick in person.
yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
So I don't know.
So here's a discussion. Let's say Joel is out for the rest of the year.
Right.
Is Joel the MVP this year to this point? Since it's not going to be if he's out.
Oh, that's tough. That's tough.
It is tough.
Um,
I think he's in the conversation. I think he's having a better year this year than he has MVP season.
yeah, he's having, but last season, that's the thing. He should not have been the MVP last season. This season, I think you could make a legitimate case um, for him. I just,
Mhm.
my heart is saying Shea.
Your heart is
My
saying
heart
Shea.
is saying Shea. My head is saying Jokic or Embiid.
Hmm. Shea would be an interesting one.
I think it
What
depends
are
on how the rest of the Thunder season goes.
what are the
Um,
betting odds right now for MVP?
Jokic, I think, was leading.
Betting odds NBA
All I know is Tyrese Halliburton is in the top 10, as he should be. But so is
Vegas
Jalen. As
Insider.
he should be.
Let's see. Here we go. Vegas Insider currently has Jokic as the leader, followed by Shea, followed by Luca, followed by Giannis.
So they are anticipating that he's going to miss too many games.
Who?
Embiid,
Do you know who Embiid is just ahead of right now?
who,
Tyrese Halliburton.
where do they have Tyrese?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So 8. Uh,
It's Vegas betting odds.
I think the Pacers would have to have a hell of a second half run.
Here's an interesting question, and probably, I guess, not really the most surprising, but kind of surprising, I guess, especially over Tyrese. Jalen Brunson is ahead of Tyrese in the MVP betting odds right now.
Okay, so there's a reason for that, Angelo. It's what the front of their jerseys say.
Just going
Because
for the Knicks.
well, it's big market favoritism. It always does
Right.
have a play. Um, I guarantee you, Jalen Brunson has been on national TV more than Tyrese Halliburton this season.
Oh, for sure. Hmm.
Because I think
Okay.
if you like side by side, hold on, let me pull up their side by sides.
Okay.
Tyrese is
It has
shooting
to be
better
Tyrese.
from the
Yeah.
field. Brunson shooting better from three, just barely though. Assists, obviously Tyrese blows him out of the water. Points, 23-27. I mean, they both probably have no shot at winning it. It's probably like terrible payout odds or amazing payout odds because it's a
Yeah. No,
terrible
100%.
probability. It is interesting though. I think that
So
I
here's my
think
question then for you. Why did you care so much when Joel Embiid got it? If you can justify to yourself Tyrese had the better numbers, but he has more exposure because of New York. So to an extent you understand and you accept that the numbers definitely aren't what matters and aren't the whole picture in an MVP award. So why was it so offensive to you that Embiid won it over Jokic last year?
let's rewind a little bit. First off,
Hmm. Okay.
um, you're comparing New York and Indianapolis with Denver and Philadelphia. Um,
Hmm.
New York is probably the second brightest lights in the league.
Hmm.
Denver and Philadelphia are probably pretty similar in their national coverage. People like the Nuggets. And Jokic was already an established star and was playing. And really, my issue was Kendrick Perkins literally gaslit the voting into Embiid. And then
100%.
backtracked and was like, oh, wait a minute, y'all actually did that, because it didn't make sense. In the case of this, like Tyrese and Jalen Brunson, it's so close that I don't like you could make an argument for either of them. And there's no reason to have this discussion because they're not going to be in that running. But if you're comparing 1 to 2 right now, they're so close you could make an argument either way. It was so obviously Nikola Jokic last year.
Yes, I'm just kidding.
What?
I was just curious. Anyway, on to the next segment.
Next segment. So this is going to be either a fun one or a boring one.
Okay.
Um,
I like those.
So let me pull it up real quick. So David Pingalore. Do you remember the Pingus bomb?
What a name. No, I don't.
So he's a journalist with KTLA.
ATL. Okay.
So I'm gonna go through a couple of his things real quick. Hold on, let me pull them up real quick. So June 29th, 2019. Just now hours away from NBA free agency. Sources continue to tell me Kawhi Leonard is highly likely and really leaning more so to sign a deal with LA Clippers, reiterating the NBA Finals MVP is not at all interested in doing a deal with the Lakers. As we saw, this ended up being true because if you remember back when Kawhi's free agency was happening, everyone thought it was Lakers. The Pingus came out and he was the first one to really break that he was not interested in signing with the Lakers, and the Clippers were actually his favorite destination. So, June 24th. Oh, wait, hold on. This one first. So, hold on. Wait. Okay, I don't have this one. So, in 2012, Pingus tweeted that he was hearing from his NBA sources that LeBron was putting out feelers for what it would take, or feelers for going back to Cleveland when his contract expired in 2 years. June 24th, 2014, he tweeted, before the team owner's vacation, LeBron told Pat Riley that he was opting out and going to the Cavs. This was before any of this actually happened, right? Click.
I'm here.
Click.
Yep.
No, I'm clicking. My mouse
Okay.
is acting up. February 8th, 2018. Right? So this is 2018. This is during the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers are doing LeBron a favor, and he will pay them back by making the Lakers his next team. Front office people I spoke with today put that scenario as a strong possibility. I will scratch your back if you do the same. Basically saying that the Lakers were doing LeBron's bidding while LeBron was on the Cavs in order to get LeBron to the Lakers. Okay, so clearly this guy has some kind of knowledge of the movement of LeBron James, right?
Yep.
This morning, David Pingalore, the Pingus, hearing from NBA people, King James is the top of the Lakers list to trade. The 39-year-old, that's a run-on sentence, Pelinka is looking for the right team to dance with and is close to a suitor. LeBron James and AD both out. So they're both resting.
Both of them?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
they
they're
both
just
were resting.
wow. Oh, so according to this guy, they are literally about to blow it up.
Potentially. Now, there's a couple things to discuss here before we discuss that. And you might find this as interesting as I did. So Wendhurst tweeted 4 hours ago. Clutch Sports agent Rich Paul says LeBron James will not be traded. Okay.
Oh,
So here's the
okay.
thing. One, agents have no say in that, first off.
Right.
Two, when was the last time you had an agent comment on trade rumors? That doesn't happen.
Hmm. You're right. You're right.
So it's, do I think, okay, so let's rewind, because prior to this season, one of our episodes here, I discussed the possibility of, if the Lakers were slow out of the gate, I thought it could be possible for the Lakers to look to move LeBron. I never thought that would actually happen. I just said, like, if it did, I wouldn't be surprised. So I was not like predicting anything like this. I just got lucky. The
Hmm.
fact that Rich
I just
Paul
got lucky.
said anything,
Means there's some legitimacy to it.
there's at least conversations happening.
Yeah.
Agents do not shoot down rumors. They're rumors. They're baseless rumors. And it comes across more. What was that?
Oh, that was my chair creaking.
Oh, so it comes across more as the report is the Lakers are shopping LeBron. And then Rich Paul's doing the LeBron side of saying, oh, he's not going to be traded, because he's trying to get ahead of it and saying LeBron didn't ask for a trade, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
getting to play the LeBron is the victim card, because LeBron doesn't ask for trades. Why would LeBron ask for a trade? Right? That said, we'll start with that because it does seem like AD is included in this. But since we've already opened the Pandora's box of LeBron here, let's talk about LeBron. And then we'll talk a little bit about AD. So if LeBron is traded, what do you think? Like, what kind of package do you throw together for a 39-year-old, soon to be 40, expiring contract LeBron James?
I'm curious to see if teams don't lowball it.
I think they absolutely will, and I think they
They have
should.
to. Yeah, they have to.
Now, I still
Like,
think it'll be a low ball for like our expectation. Like a first round pick and a roster piece is a low ball for LeBron James.
right.
But for rental LeBron James, that would probably be a fair trade.
What
I think it
if
would be more than that.
here's a crazy thing. What if they get 3 or 4 first for LeBron?
Uh, it would have to be like multiple teams involved, because I don't think one team gives up that for an expiring, even if it is LeBron James.
That's fair.
Just because, like, yes, it drastically increases the chance you are going to win an NBA championship,
Mm-hmm.
but
And
you're
then it begs the
really,
question, what is an NBA championship worth to you?
and then it begs the question, what are you doing post LeBron James?
Yeah.
Because you don't try to just win one championship.
True.
So what are some teams that, like, we briefly talked about it in the chat this morning. I didn't really want to get into it because I figured we'd have these conversations when we recorded.
Mm-hmm.
What are some teams if this hypothetical rumor happens to be true, what are some teams you would be interested as a fan in seeing LeBron James play for, given the fact that you are a LeBron stan? And what would be more realistic teams? Because, like, you can pipe dream and like build a giant, like, oh, like, I know you're not a fan of the Mavs, but I don't think the Mavs have the assets to flip for this.
I think even if they did, it wouldn't be that good of a move, but that's just
Right,
me.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, so
Honestly, I
without,
think the teams that make sense are from like a competing standpoint, the Timberwolves, if they want to be serious, the
Absolutely.
Celtics
Absolutely.
for the
They
presence of
can't they can't afford him now.
having
That's the
LeBron.
problem.
Yeah. I don't think the Bucks would make sense. The 76ers before Embiid went down would have made sense, but now I don't know.
Not so much, yeah.
I think the Pacers, if they are really going all in and doing one more move to get LeBron on top of Pascal and Tyrese, I think it'd be absolutely atrocious for your defense, but scoring 140 games a night would be cool.
I mean, the defense is already bad. I just
Yeah.
want that for the salty fans. Like
The
LeBron is
yeah.
hated here, and I want to
Really?
see like how many people like actually
Flip.
continue to hate him, or if they're like, "Oh man, I've been a fan since he was at St. Mary's." Oh yeah.
Oh Lord. Oh,
What?
anyway, outside of that, I think a return to the Cavs could be in
Yeah,
order because,
I would love that. As much as
and
I would
quite
hate the Cavs to win another championship in the Central, go
and
finish your
quite
career where
honestly, they have a piece they could send in the form of Jared Allen. So it makes a lot of sense to
does
go back to the
does
Cavs.
Jared Allen get it done though? I mean, I think it does, but to be
Yeah,
devil's
it's
advocate, I
pretty
think
close.
you have to add picks to it.
Yeah, well, APEC, but yeah. But anyway, outside of that, I think the Warriors make sense from the standpoint
Oh,
of we have a lot of
you
young
don't.
assets that don't believe in our staff
You
anymore, and we
don't.
have to get rid of them. So, why not just go for one mega run? And if it doesn't work, then it didn't work.
Uh, you
Okay.
know, you know what I want?
Hmm.
So we ask the question. We've asked it a few times on here, and we never really have an answer. What does LeBron James have to prove? What
Nothing.
more can he do to
Nothing.
cement himself? There is one thing, Angela.
There's nothing.
No, there is one thing.
There's nothing.
No, there is one thing he can do that Michael Jordan could never do.
Oh God. Don't wish that pain upon him.
Go to the Washington Wizards and lead them to
Oh
a
my God, dude. Dude.
end of his
Oh.
career. Wizards success. MJ couldn't do it.
You mean the
LeBron could.
Washington Wizards team that is competing for the second worst record in NBA history, that Washington Wizards team?
It might be that one.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say it
You
made.
just want to see LeBron suffer. That like
No, no, no,
like
no,
you want to suggest the Spurs too, man? What about
no.
the
Well, actually,
Pistons?
that would be kind of cool. That would be
What about
kind
the
of cool. You know
Pistons,
what's
man?
interesting? You
What?
know what's really interesting since you mentioned the Spurs? There's this dichotomy between the Wizards and the Spurs that I don't think enough people are talking about. And specifically, it's with Jordan Poole and Victor Wembanyama. And that
Oh
sounds
my
weird to
God.
say, but every night when you tune into one of those players, there's a legitimate chance you are going to see something that you've never seen done before in an NBA arena. They're different reasons. Wemby's special.
Oh,
Pools are not, but they're memorable. No, I think LeBron might actually he might finish what Draymond started if he had to spend time with Jordan Poole. Maybe he would knock the sense back in to Jordan Poole. Um, make him shave the mustache, look a little less creepy. Um, but no, I generally do agree in those teams. The only one that I think that you disagree on is I think the Mavericks. I think that's actually a decent fit. Um, Miami Heat's not a good fit, but again, I like storylines. Um, and again, I would really like to see Jimmy Butler try to
I
be
don't.
Jimmy Butler when LeBron James is in the locker room.
I don't want to see LeBron back in Miami.
I don't either. Like, but at the same time, he did say they were going to win more rings.
Oh my god.
Just saying, you don't want to call LeBron James a
Hater.
liar, do you?
Yes. There's
And then Minnesota for sure. Um, that's
I
actually like
think
I think the best fit is the Clippers or the Clippers. Right, the Clippers or the Thunder. I said Clippers twice. The Clippers or the Thunder. I just don't see the Lakers trading them
see
or
I
making.
disagree. I think the best fit are the Celtics and the Timberwolves.
I think the Timberwolves are up there. I don't like. You're just adding to the Celtics. I don't think that's necessarily the fit. I think it's just an abundance of riches. Um,
Oh, I think LeBron definitely adds something different that they don't have, which is like someone who's won multiple championships who can give you more confidence and understanding situations better going into a deep playoff run.
true. Um, I don't. That's the other thing is I don't want him to just. If this does happen, I don't want him to just go to another big market team. Like I don't want it to be New York or Boston. I would want it to be like a Minnesota, Indiana, or Cleveland. Like go win as the underdog. That's because I'm just telling you, if he were to be like, oh, I'm doing the Kevin Durant and joining the Boston Celtics, like at this point in his career, like that just makes him seem more like a villain. Whereas if he goes to like pretty much any other team, it won't be as much so. Though if he goes, I would like to see him do that just for the sake of I would like to see how the media portrays it because they were vicious when it came to Kevin Durant joining the Warriors. I don't think they would have that same.
How can you be vicious to a 39-year-old?
I'm not saying
Like,
that. I'm just saying, like, how would they play it? Because it's the same thing at the end of the day. Because 39-year-old LeBron James is still dropped a 30-point triple double just last night, like, or not
I
last
guess
night, the
it's
night
true.
before, like, and then Anthony Davis. I of the two,
I
interestingly, I
think
see
Anthony
them
Davis is pretty more cut and dry. I think you get a Rudy Gobert kind of deal for Anthony Davis, and
for sure,
if
and
you're willing to pay that, go ahead.
I think of the two like potential trades, as weird as it sounds, I think an Anthony Davis trade is less likely than a LeBron James trade. Um, just because of
That's
the
weird to
ages.
say.
That is
I think
weird to
the AD.
say.
I think the AD. I think if one happens, the other kind of has to happen.
Yeah, I guess, but it feels weird to say. Like I just in my head, I don't see them trading Anthony Davis. If they do, hilariously, the perfect fit is the New Orleans Pelicans.
Don't say it. Oh no.
Do
So here's a
you
question: do
disagree?
you move Zion for AD?
Ooh, that's tough.
Do you accept
I
Zion for AD if you're the Lakers?
oh
I know. I know. It's painful, isn't it?
that's hard.
Yeah.
Um, because Zion is still so young.
It could be closer to Mariah Mills.
Oh God. Uh, he'd be farther away from that New Orleans cooking though.
True.
Um, because if he ever gets it together to where he's not, you know, hurting himself when he walks,
He's a top 5 guy.
easily. So, and Anthony Davis, let's be real, Anthony Davis isn't exactly the most reliable player when it comes to night health. So I don't trade Zion if I'm the Pels, just because you're trading an injury prone player for another injury prone player, but one of them's in his early 20s, the other is not. I trade a lot of other pieces though. I would trade a lot of other pieces for AD. Pretty much anyone not named Zion or Brandon Ingram.
Really?
Yeah.
You wouldn't trade Brandon Ingram for him either?
I don't think so. I think
Hmm.
if I'm wanting to bring him in, I'm wanting to do a like I want to build a team. Like I said, you're building a team around him, and you can't do that if you give up your good pieces. And I don't know if I would give up a piece like Brandon Ingram for Anthony Davis, not because Anthony Davis isn't worth
What
it. It's just again,
what what if they kind of like reverse the AD deal and the Lakers ask for their picks back and then like a player or two?
I'd do it. I'd
Hmm.
absolutely do it. But yeah, I think the LeBron trade is likely. Not likely. I don't want to say likely. More likely of
Here's
the two.
my headcanon is that because the AD trade is pretty more cut and dry and you're able to work that out probably faster. If you're gonna do it, the AD will drop first and then the LeBron trade will drop. That's kind of how I'm.
I think the LeBron trade, if it happens, will happen on the deadline.
Yeah,
And I
that's fair.
think it's going to break the internet. I don't think
Yeah,
like over the summer there was or not over the summer. This year there was the Otani thing. Like that was a big deal.
yeah, the Shohei Ohtani signing. By the way,
But
fuck you, Shohei.
but besides that, like this would
I'm just
probably
kidding. You're
be this would
amazing.
easily be the biggest deal in sports in recent years.
Yeah, it would. I'm just thinking of like the circus that it'll be like on every whether you're like ESPN or you're some small content creators like us, it'll be everyone's talking point for at least a week.
For sure. Like micro analyzing everything.
There will be MJ stands coming out of the woodworks to say things like, "Oh, MJ would have never been traded even in his 40s." Da, da, da. And there's going to be LeBron stands out saying that this gives him another chance. Like it's going to be great, honestly. If it happens, it's going to be great.
No, it's definitely going to be an entertaining couple days for sure.
Much more
Um,
entertaining than Shohei Ohtani's free agency.
yeah, well, he. I don't even follow baseball, and I know that that man is just private as hell, and he didn't
He
want
is.
everyone like he didn't make a
Yep,
big deal about it.
he did not. Did you see, by the way, did you see the breakdown that this motherfucker signed?
Yeah, isn't it like he's going to be paid like $30 billion in his 30s?
Yes, he makes fucking $2 million a year for the first like 2, 3 years, and the like 400 million of the 500 million or whatever it is like back tax to the end of it.
Yeah, you know my opinion on the salary rules of the
Crazy.
MLB. It's
That's crazy.
asinine.
That's just insane.
So does that when it because I don't know how baseball works. So is there a cap hit relative to his overall deal, or is his cap hit $2 million?
His cap hit is $2 million.
Okay, that's stupid. So there's not like an average annual value or anything like that.
No.
Oh God, I hate baseball's
That is
rules.
why that's why he did it that way so the Dodgers could sign more players while he's in his prime, quote unquote in his prime.
So why like couldn't they just do this with like every star player on the market? And
Well, that's the interesting question. Is that going to happen? Joey kind of basically just set a market. He could have.
because he could have been paid a lot more, correct? Like he's worth a lot more than that.
I don't know if he could have been paid a lot more. He could have been making upwards of $40 million a year and have that be every year for 10 years if he wanted to. That's crazy.
I don't know. That's
That's crazy. $2
MLB.
million for sure. But quite honestly, like ignoring like the cap ramifications and that stuff, that's low key a brilliant way to make your contract on the simple fact that as you are getting older and going into the twilight, you're going to still have money coming in. So you're not going to have $40 million for 2024 when you're 30. You're going to have $40 million or $70 million in like 2034 when you're like 40, 50. That's honestly low key a great financial strategy. Just as a person.
uh,
Agree? Disagree?
I agreed. Like I think that he did it right. I don't like the rules
Yeah, that's
around
fair.
it. It it's kind of broken. It's not very like I am interested. I should go listen to like some baseball podcasts to get like an idea for like how it all works and like there's
Yeah,
not
you
it
totally
doesn't
should.
seem it
Quite
doesn't
honestly, quite honestly, if you're an analytics person, you would love like people who talk about baseball because they are very analytically driven.
no I get that sabermetrics was a big deal. Um it's I'm more interested because when we're discussing trades or signings, we're talking like we talk about like the cap ramifications. And I don't feel like that's as prevalent in the MLB.
No, 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 no.
And
Because
that's weird.
you can have someone who doesn't care about
So,
like it's good.
like hypothetically,
Honestly, before you go into that, I need to send you like a baseball bit about specifically it was about the Oakland Athletics, and the whole point of the video is that baseball teams should be viewed less as a profit engineering machine and more as like an entertainment machine where profit isn't as important, but putting a competitive team on the field is. I think you would really like that because there are some baseball teams who specifically underpay and have their rosters under talented to make profit. But go on.
so like hypothetically,
Hypothetically.
let's say there is some like Saudi oil baron, right?
So they got billions of dollars.
Let's go ahead and hypothetically say trillions of dollars.
Trillions of dollars. Okay.
Trillions of dollars. Is this baseball team in the MLB owned by this baron able to spend trillions of dollars?
Yes.
That is
If they're
so dumb.
if they're okay being in the luxury tax, yes.
That is so dumb.
Because right now the luxury tax is 30% of the first $20 million you're over, 42% of the next $20 million you're over, 75% of the third 20, so that's about 20, 40, $60 million, and 90% of anything over really any amount over $293 million over the cap space. But yes, theoretically, if they were willing to spend and have 90% of their money over $300 million over the cap space tax, yes.
And do you agree with that financial structure, or do you think
No,
there could be change? Okay.
there should be changes, but at the same time, I don't know how to explain. Baseball has been around for so long that changing the structure of baseball would have huge backlash to the fans of baseball. At least I think it would.
So, but in that same vein, are baseball fans, I don't know what word to use here, because I
Older?
remember,
Yes.
no. So I remember, I don't remember if it was Colin Cowherd. It was someone I was watching, and they were talking about the baseball strike back in the day,
Hmm.
and the like the fans refused to show up for games, and like
Yes.
viewership was down.
Yes.
I don't want to use the word fickle, but do you think that baseball fans are a little fickle, where they'll
100%, dude.
deliberately,
100%, dude.
but so in, and we're getting into weird baseball history here, but thanks for joining us tonight, guys. If after that strike or lockout or whatever it was a lockout, right?
Yeah, there's been multiple lockouts in baseball. Anyway,
So
go on.
after that one, the one that like emptied the arenas and like nobody came to games, nobody watched games, were there changes afterwards that brought the fans back, or did they just slowly start coming back?
I don't know off the top of my head, quite
Okay.
honestly.
Because if it's the latter, then I feel like changes would have that kind, because sports fan as a whole are fickle. I'm not saying that's
Yeah.
unique to baseball. I think that we have a lot of like, what have you done for me lately when it comes to sports, and this goes across the spectrum of sports.
Hmm.
Um I'm just I was interested to know like if there was like some um
Maybe it's something I.
reconciliation between the league and fans, that is why they came back, or if they just realized that they liked the game and they didn't care really about the rules as long as the game was same. Because from a viewer standpoint, like imposing a hard tag or a hard cap doesn't necessarily change how the game is played. It just changed, like I feel like the
25 years
teams
ago, we saw base runners trade for. Okay. Anyway, go on.
I
Sorry.
feel like teams that like fans of teams that are willing to spend would be the most upset, but I don't think it would necessarily impact the on-field performance in any way. It's not like you're adding like, oh, every third pitch we're going to use wiffle balls, right? Like it's not changing the rules of the game.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about the one in 1995?
Sure.
Tom Glavine, Atlanta Star pitcher.
Are you reading about it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just I am someone that I very much welcome change. Like the tides of change are coming, and like get on board. We
So
shouldn't
you
just
remember
do.
the movie The Replacements?
Yes, with Keanu Reeves.
That happened. That's basically what happened.
Oh,
From the sounds of it, the reason the fans weren't showing up is because they were still on strike with the players, and they brought in a bunch of replacement players, and the fans refused to watch those players. So what happened was the strike ended and the players came back and the fans returned.
okay. So that makes sense. So the owners were like, here's your wish.com baseball. Placements was a really good movie.
Yeah.
So they literally had scabs in baseball.
They had what?
Scabs.
Yeah.
Huh.
Crazy.
But it feels like even like in the like 2000s, like in the early 2010s, it feels like every time I was watching ESPN and there were baseball highlights, there weren't that many people in crowds. But
No.
I think
Base
I feel like part of that's just because of how many games there are. They don't like fans don't show up as much because
So,
there's more games.
so statistically speaking, most of the fans who attend baseball games are older, like a lot older. And baseball's revenue isn't really made on attendance in stadiums, it's made on network deals
Well,
and
yeah, that's all of
broadcasting
them.
rights. Yeah.
That's all of them.
Well, no, I think
NBA
the
TV.
NFL and the NBA fan base is younger, a lot younger than
No, no, no,
baseball
no.
fans.
I'm saying like how they make their money. Like the TV deals
Oh,
are
that's fair.
really what sets the standard. Like obviously they sell hella jerseys, but
So I'm going to try to take this back to basketball, but keep the subject the same. What do you think would happen if basketball decided to take baseball's salary structure?
and just like let teams spend all willy nilly.
Or not at all?
Not at all.
You could do either. It doesn't matter. You could spend, $20 million to field your team or less, or you could spend 200, 300, $400 million if you want to. There'd be luxury tax, but if you're the Lakers, you don't care about the luxury tax. But anyway, go on.
It completely depends on the team.
LA, like in baseball, probably would have a
They
huge
would they
advantage.
would
Same with New York.
spend. Yeah, the big market teams would spend, and small market teams would get the scraps. And you would hear me complain about the same things I complain about today.
So nothing would change.
I mean, the product would be different,
Oh, for sure. For sure.
but it would be like what I complain about today, but to an nth degree. Because like a team like the Lakers would just pay everybody. Like you would
Yeah.
have like a Team USA Olympic roster on the LA Lakers. Like their bench would be an all-star caliber team.
That would be so.
It's
Honestly,
like
that'd
if
be
you
funny to
go
watch.
play like my GM and turn off salary cap and like the team you make is freaking broken and boring.
Yep. You're not wrong.
Mm. Uh,
Is that it?
I feel like that's it. I feel like
That
that's
feels
it.
like it too. Yeah.
That feels
That
like
feels
it's
like
it.
a good way to
That
conclude.
feels like a good way to end it. End it with baseball. I
Yep.
I mean, that's what we're
That's
probably
what
gonna
everyone
do.
came here for, Ren.
Yeah, we came here for baseball. I mean, that's what
Yeah,
we're
they came
probably
here
about to
for
go do
baseball.
is play MLB The Show,
Exactly. We're
which
gonna
is
play
weird because
baseball.
I don't like baseball, but like I like that game. I've played one game and I like it.
It is unironically the best from top to bottom, the best sports game that comes out every year.
Um,
I think it is.
top to bottom, sure.
I think there's things they could do better. Like they could have online franchise. That'd make me play it a
I
lot
think I,
more.
th- I think there's more like the
But
other games seem to do other things way better.
but I
Uh,
think as far as like replicating the sport that they're trying to replicate, I think it does better than 2K or Madden
yeah,
or
or
NHL.
NHL or
Yeah.
FIFA. I agree. I think top to bottom, like as a game as a whole, it's hands down the best for sure. Um, I do think the gameplay loop of like 2K and NHL are
Rebound. Three.
better.
Get back.
No, 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 no,
Three.
no, no. I'm talking about like what you do as a player, like in terms of getting on during the day and just like there's so much you can do.
Mhm.
And I'm always going to say like and baseball would be terrible for this, like
Oh, for team
creating
play,
more
it would be absolutely. Would you really want to stand out in left field and not get a ball hit to you for 3 innings and then have one AB?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it wouldn't work for it, but like that's the kind of mode that I like. So like I think it would be like who's the studio that does what are we doing? Who's the studio that does the show SDS?
San Diego Studios, yes.
So San Diego Studios, if you're listening, maybe I'm the only one that wants this, and I'm not a baseball fan, so you probably shouldn't listen to me at all. But what if instead of making this like an online versus mode, right? Like instead of like, because there's what, 9 people in a rotation. Not like the pitcher rotates like through different pitchers, but there's 9 people that play, right?
3 outfielders, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 infielders, and a pitcher. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe don't have 9 versus 9, right? Like we don't need 9 versus 9. What if instead of that, they implemented a mode that was a way to earn rewards for other game modes? And it's a co-op season where you and up to 9 friends or up to 8 friends
Oh
make
God.
players and you play co-op together playing those positions. And there's there's rewards for doing it. So you can play with your friends with your created players, which is what like people like to do. Like right now, my character on NBA 2K is Dwayne Wade. You have a LeBron James. Riley has a Chris Bosh. Adam is pretending his is Dwight Howard. Like we've made NBA players and we've done we've changed our build so many times and our character model so many times. And it's fun. Like it's fun to experiment and like make a player and level them up and grow them and then take them with your friends and play with your friends. That's the only thing I think the show is missing. And I think it's a huge deal because you don't even have to do it necessarily to that degree. Like you could do it to where it's co-op and like, let's say 3 people, you each make a player and it does it like the My Career does it, where it like, when it's a computer at bat, it just flies through them unless it's a human pitching in which the human pitcher pitches. And then it plays the game when you're on the field or it plays the game when you're at bat. Just something to have that team element because that's why we play games, like team play. It's fun. That's a whole nother issue.
There's co-op
Hey,
3v3.
yeah,
Anyway,
but you're not you're not. It's not the same thing.
I guess
But
that's true. You're not progressing towards anything.
and you're
Anyway,
not
go on.
making your own player, which is like I like as
Start of the
much as I
show.
complain about people, but not co-op. I'm saying there's no My Career online and online franchise. Like online franchise isn't as big of a deal for me because I don't think anyone has ever done online franchise better than Madden. I think there were a few years that NHL was coming close because you used to be able to play like online co-op franchises where you could have up to 6 people on each team and you did drafts and trades and all that.
Hmm.
That was fun. But the My Career, like create a player and play with your friends, like that's the biggest thing missing for me. It's a hell of a game. Anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. If you like what we do here, do all the things we ask you to do. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, notify, whatever you do. Follow us on social media at No Reserves. Follow us on Twitch at No Reserves. And if you liked what we did on Tuesday, if you didn't check it out and you're interested in video games, it's kind of what we were just doing, but to a grander scale. We released a kind of a test episode for new stuff. Video game related episode. If you like it, let us know. It seemed to do really well on the metrics. So I don't know. Let us know. You got anything else, Angelo?
Nope. Have a good one,
All
guys.
right. Well, join Angelo on Thursday with Alex for No Reserves football, and we will see you here for No Reserves basketball next Sunday. There is not an episode on Tuesday.